let's talk this brand new 2026 Ducati XDiavel V4. This motorcycle, along with its brother, the regular Diavel V4, together make up Ducati's Power Cruisers lineup, which is a phrase originally coined by Yamaha in the mid-80s when they made the VMAX. That was what people consider to be the original, the grandfather of all power cruisers, simply because it was a cruiser-looking motorcycle with a really powerful engine in it that could get that cruiser up to the speed of super sport motorcycles of its time. Now, you ask Yamaha what happened to that motorcycle, and they're gonna tell you a pretty sad story about how this category of motorcycles vanishing away, nobody wants a power cruiser anymore, and it was so bad that we had to cancel the VMAX in 2020. Now, you ask the exact same question from Ducati and you're gonna get the exact opposite answer. Ducati, on the other hand, has been ramping up the production of this motorcycle. And in fact, this motorcycle has been so popular that I remember in 2024 when the news spread that Ducati might be putting the V4 engine on this particular bike, paparazzis grabbed their cameras and went out on the streets trying to spot the test riders for Ducati. And of course, they found a couple with these obscure looking motorcycles all taped up, very discreet. But it was clear it's gotta be a Ducati V4, and it was a very exciting time. And of course, a couple months after that, in 2025, Ducati revealed this motorcycle and the regular V4 as the new contenders in the industry. And this segment is very, very hot and popular right now. And the Rocket 3 from Triumph has been redesigned, and everybody's living alive and well here. Somebody go tell Yamaha that it wasn't that the segment is dying out, it's that you were boring and you missed out on one of the biggest marketing opportunities to revive that motorcycle and to make a lot of money and make a lot of people happy so that they don't have to go out spend $30,000 plus to get the Italian counter option for the power cruisers. But anyways, here we are with one of the newest models in front of us in this gorgeous dark red black lava color. It's called black lava because it's supposed to look like the cooling crust of lava when it gets really dark red, and this huge 240 millimeter tire in the back, and this beautiful quad exhaust coming out of this 1158cc V4 engine. And this is what we're going to be doing today. We're gonna go wheel to wheel and everything in between on this brand new 2026 Ducati XDiavel V4 and see for about $30-some thousand what you're expecting to get from Ducati in this day and age. And then we're gonna get on it, go out there and test everything that this motorcycle offers us. Let's go. Let's start off by talking about what's powering your $30,000+ Ducati XDiavel V4, and what you have is, of course, a V4 engine under the hood with a displacement of 1,158 cc's. That makes you about 170 horsepower and about 93 foot-pounds of torque. And what you notice, the first thing you look at this engine is they have used glossy paint over it, which is my first time seeing something like this. I didn't actually know it's possible to ice over your engine like this with the paint, like a wedding cake here, but they've done it. I don't think it's gonna crack or dull or discolor over time, but it's a beautiful sight to behold here, this shiny engine on this motorcycle. And one cool thing about this bike is that if you are in particular ride modes and you're not revving the heck out of your motorcycle, this engine can actually run on the front 2 cylinders only to conserve gas and reduce wear and tear on your cylinders. When you need the maximum power out of this motorcycle and you rev the heck out of this bike, all 4 cylinders will fire, of course, to give you the horsepower and the torque figures that I mentioned. One thing I don't love about the way this motorcycle looks down here is the fact that the engine ends around here, and then there is this 4 inches of gap between the engine and when the radiator body starts. It creates those hollow points in the engine. That's the hallmark of like cheap motorcycles. When you look under their guts and there's a big hole in there, remind you that something bigger could have fit there, but you cheaped out and bought a smaller cc version of that motorcycle. This hole reminds me of that. This is as powerful as it gets, and you still have that gap there. I'm sure it's useful for wanting to reach in and do stuff to this motorcycle, but it just at a glance looks a little off-putting to see this huge gap here. But that gap immediately gets redeemed by looking at the exhaust headers, following it out about 40 inches that way, and you're gonna get to this beautiful quad exhaust system here, really showing you that you've got a 4-cylinder motorcycle cruiser here. And if you wanna hear how the 2026 XDiavel sounds, well, take a listen. This engine also has a huge improvement over the earlier Diavels and XDiavel models. They used to have to be valve adjusted every 10 to 15,000 miles, and it's a very expensive service. The last time I checked, they cost $2,000 to $3,000 to get the valve replacement done, valve adjustment done. This motorcycle, the maintenance interval has creeped up to about 38,000 miles. If you're not familiar with motorcycles, motorcycle riders generally on average put about 5, maybe 10-ish thousand miles on the motorcycles if they really ride their bike around. Now, of course, some of you are going to come back and say, well, no, I put that in 2 weeks on my motorcycle. Fine. But generally, on average speaking, so this will be 3 to 5 years worth of riding before you even have to think about a valve adjustment if you ride this motorcycle regularly. If you're one of those people who polishes this and puts it in your living room and never touches this motorcycle, you're not going to do a valve adjustment for the next decade or so, so don't worry about that. Now, moving further this way, you're going to probably get the best view of the motorcycle. I'm going to get out of the way so you can see it. This is probably the most gorgeous view to this motorcycle, this rear quartering view. You can see the exhaust pipe, and more importantly, you can see the single-sided swing arm, which has been the hallmark of Diavels and XDiavels since the day they came out in 2011. They've always been like this. And the cool thing about the rims are that the rims usually show you specific models. Most Diavels, going model year to model year, the design of the rear wheel changed, so you can kind of tell the year of the motorcycle from the way the rim looked. Now, moving up and forward, we're gonna get to this rear Sachs shock. I don't know if they have some sort of collaboration with Öhlins or what's going on, because Sachs is not Öhlins, but this yellow I thought was a trademark color of Öhlins shocks. This is not Öhlins. And I'm kind of surprised to see that, because I believe Öhlins is a little higher up than Sachs would be. And considering this bike is pretty much as expensive as a cruiser is gonna get, putting a Sachs shock instead of Öhlins was a little surprising to me, but we'll see on our ride if it's comfortable or not. And when you go up front, the front suspensions are supposed to be Marzocchi's. Again, I don't know why Marzocchi has stopped putting their brand on their forks when they supply it to Ducati. Perhaps it's some sort of agreement that there should be no other marking on the motorcycle than Ducati's marking. Otherwise, it'll be a mumbo jumbo of brands. But when a manufacturer itself is very reputable and sought after for these bits and bobs, I don't see why the brand of those companies shouldn't be on these particular parts. I had a hard time finding Marzocchi anywhere. To this moment, I'm not sure if it's Marzocchi or not. I've just read online that they are Marzocchi made, but it would be cool if it's stamped somewhere in a high-end luxurious way that they are Marzocchi. But that seems to be the front suspensions, and they are fully adjustable. Both rear and front suspensions are fully adjustable, but we'll see on our ride how the front and rear suspensions work on this motorcycle. Moving up here, you are greeted by yet another series of nice design decisions made. Starting here, you have this fixed in place handle. It's interesting because the older versions of this motorcycle, I remember this was retractable. I had the Ducati Diavel from 2015, and this was hidden in the seat. And when you needed it, you would have grabbed it, pulled it out, retracted it out. It would become available to you. You'd grab it, pull it up the hill, and then put it stow it back in place when you're done with it. This one is fixed in place and it's sticking out, and I think that has been tradition for a couple of years now on the XDiavel. Moving down from this handle, you get this huge one-piece tail light. I can't imagine how expensive this is if you damage it. This is just one piece going across the entire motorcycle. It's one of the larger tail lights I've seen. However, Even though it's on both sides of the motorcycle, Ducati did not utilize each half of this rear light as a turn signal. I think perhaps they are not far away enough from each other when each half blinks, so they had to end up adding turn signals still on the rear license plate. It must be some US code, but I imagine there might be aftermarket parts where you can actually convert the rear side, each half of the rear light, into turn signals, so it becomes integrated for a tail tidy purpose. That would be the best opportunity for an aftermarket mod on this motorcycle, to make each of these blink individually for turn signals. Overall, it's a gorgeous design, and down here you're gonna see this keyhole, and when you put the key in here and you twist it, you can unlock both seats at the same time. They are interlocked into each other, so when you flip the key, you can remove both the passenger and the rider's seat at the same time to get access to all kinds of goodies down there. Moving up here, you have a pretty modern dashboard, including this 7-inch TFT screen, and underneath it you have the key fob that looks like a key that's already inserted into the motorcycle. You just need to flip it. It's spring-loaded. You flip it left and right to kind of start up the motorcycle. Here's the key fob. What drew my attention is how simple it looks. I made a video of the 50th anniversary Honda Goldwing, and that key is like piano, shiny black, all kinds of logos and emblems on it. It looks really high-end, and then you have this perhaps more practical, more tactical looking key. You're probably not too worried about scratching this or damaging it because it looks really heavy duty, but you have this regular key fob with the emergency key attached to it, and then you have the retractable key itself for opening the locking compartment, unlocking the seats, as well as opening the gas cap. That's one complaint I have, is I still see a lockable gas cap here instead of an electronic cap, where if you're just near the motorcycle, you just grab this lid, flip it, and remove the key, remove the lid. In this motorcycle, you still need the key to be with you, and you still need to pull it out of your pocket, put it in here, and unlock the gas tank. It's not that big of a deal, but that kind of eliminates the point of a keyless go, where you just zip it up in a pocket and you forget about it. In this motorcycle, you have to get it out and use it to get gas. But not a big deal. You don't have to do it every second of every day for your ride. Moving to the right handlebar, you have a couple of buttons, one of which is the ignition switch. Of course, you have to move this red button off the ignition switch, and if you press it, you start the bike up. Above the ignition switch, you have another switch, which is the headlight toggle switch. And yes, on this motorcycle, you can either have your day running lights be on full bright and be the only things that are on and running, or you can push this button, it dims the day running lights, or DRLs, and it actually turns on your main headlight if you prefer it that way. I think they've done it this way because the headlight, after all, is more useful as far as illumination than the day running lights are. So if you for some reason enter a dark tunnel or whatnot and you actually need to see instead of just being seen, you can toggle this and go to the main headlights and see your path better. But if you just want looks and you just want to be seen and you don't care about seeing much, obviously in the daylight, you can press this button and your day running lights intensify and the main headlight turns off. Now below the ignition key, you have the handlebar lock button. All you gotta do is you press it once to kill the bike completely, like this, and then you just turn the handlebar all the way, and when it's turned all the way, you press this button and hold it, and now your handlebar is locked. You can do the same thing while holding the turn signals, and if you do that, you turn on the parking lights. And the parking lights are essentially just your day running lights and your tail lights staying on very dimly, just so in the pitch black night, people can actually see there is a motorcycle parked here, especially this paint being pretty dark. That can be helpful. Protecting your $30,000+ investment. And on this side of the handlebar, on the left handlebar, you have a whole bunch of buttons here. One is, of course, your high beam, low beam toggle switch. You have the hazard light button, and you also have the mode light. When you hit that on your screen, you can see you can pick wet, you can pick sport, pick touring, pick urban, and other modes that are available to you. And by holding that button down, you make your selection and the motorcycle will be in those modes. Over here, you have two sets of buttons. One is your TFT control, buttons, and the other one is for your cruise control. And that's right, of course, this motorcycle being a very high-end cruiser after all, it does have cruise control for those long straightaways that can become really boring. And as for the design of this motorcycle, we are in the second generation of this bike, the first one being 2016 to 2024 with the old 1260 engine in it, and this one being the second generation with the Granturismo V4 engine with that gorgeous plaque on the side of the motorcycle saying that it's Granturismo V4 since 2025 to now 2026, which I expect at least another 2-3 years of this engine and this model. You usually would know there's going to be a third generation of the Diavel coming through when some sort of change, modification to the engine or the body panels happen on the Panigale lineup. Usually the Diavel follows suit 1 or 2 years after the Panigales change up. So that's how you might know that a new generation might be coming along, but not anytime soon. And with all of that out of the way, I think you and I are ready to take this motorcycle out on the road and give it a try. But before we do that, a huge shout out to Linwood Motoplex for allowing us to have this brand new 2026 XDiavel to test and to show you guys how it looks and how the ride feels on this motorcycle. A huge shout out to Linwood Motoplex. They offer KTM, they offer Kawasaki, MV Agusta, Yamaha, Ducati. They even have an adjacent attachment to their dealership that offers Indian motorcycles. They even have four-wheelers and boats. It's a fantastic place. If you're looking for a motorcycle, check out their website. There's gonna be massive deals. This motorcycle you're looking at is $2,000 off from the listed MSRP. It's a fantastic opportunity to pick one of these up if you're looking for an XDiavel. And with all of that, let's go and ride this motorcycle. The link to Linwood Motoplex is gonna be in the description section of this video. Go check them out, Linwood Motoplex. And with all of that, let's go and ride this XDiavel. Oh yeah, that quickshifter is sweet! Let's adjust these mirrors. Pretty awesome. Make sure this is recording. Yep, seems like it is. Wow, this whole foot peg situation definitely needs some getting used to. Coming from the H2, my feet are usually right here on a regular super bike, and now I have to put them right there. Oh well. Nice. Pulls pretty hard. We are, I mean, in the sport mode, so. Okay. Cruise control on. Let's start to take it off because we're pretty close to that car, but it has no problem kicking in at any pretty much speed or gear. Some motorcycles have restrictions on like the gear number that you got to be in, but this one doesn't seem to be have any of that. Let's put 40 as our cruise control. So you can see the motorcycle is just maintaining, I guess 41, so now it's 40. Yeah, it's maintaining a pretty good speed. Not too bad. Just because this motorcycle is naked, it has nothing surrounding the TFT. The TFT looks actually really small. I mean, if the same TFT is on a super sport motorcycle with a lot of fairings all around it, it'll make this TFT look humongous. But over here, not so much. It's pretty easy to make a U-turn with. Nice pull, nice pull. And that was actually on wet mode. That was great. Let's not forget to put it back on sport. Let's pull one more time. Whoa! Okay. All right, all right. Wow. Okay. Now that it's in sport mode, it's a whole different ball game here. All right. I almost got a little bit disappointed in this motorcycle, but then I looked down and it wasn't wet mode, of course, and I was like, yep, if this pull was done in any environment rather than a sunny, dry day, it would have gotten me in trouble probably. Oh, that was insane. You can see the G meter here. I actually have to go back and look at the footage. You can see how many G's we just pulled on this motorcycle. That was something. One thing I noticed is coming from my Ducati Diavel from 2015, it was a 2015 Diavel Carbon, this brake and clutch reservoirs are the exact same part number, it seems. They look identical to what I had on my motorcycle 10 years ago, or 11 years ago. That's interesting. I mean, if it's not broken, don't fix it, especially on a non-critical part like this. It's just holding the fluid. A lot of motorcycle manufacturers use plastic containers for this. This one is aluminum. But just worth noting that apparently there has been zero invention in the world of Ducati's reservoirs. Wow. I'll later look at what G we just pulled, and hopefully my microphone didn't fly off the motorcycle, because I have a microphone sitting on the tail end of the bike and one in the helmet to record the sound of the motorcycle and the sound of me talking. This is an insane motorcycle, not gonna lie.